Hello from the Vision stage here at Green Tech. We're going to be talking now, together with Martin Tietema from Foam Plant, all about substrate and how substrate are driving change in the global food system. And Martin, we were talking a little bit earlier about the role of substrate and the basic message, of course, in the vertical farm and controlled environment agriculture scene. Many things have been solved already. Great LEDs, the water solutions are there, renewable energy. But what about substrate? I think that's what we're going to be delving into a little bit first. But could you give us a context in terms of societal challenges to start with?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for that introduction. Indeed, what we see is that a major bottleneck for a lot of the high-tech vertical farming systems is indeed the substrate level. But it all comes down to more or less the interesting challenges we're facing in the next coming years. I mean, the studies from the Wageningen University, but also Deloitte studies, the Lancet study, have shown all the same thing. We need to increase at least by 50% our entire food production over the next several years.
But it has to be sustainable at the same time. Far more sustainable than today.
We know that it's not sufficiently to do it with the way we're doing it now with the conventional farming methods. That won't solve the problem. And I think it's also a really interesting challenge that we have to make, because it actually means that people are becoming wealthy. People want to eat more healthy food. They have more money to spend on food. So we need to have high-end food production, which will mostly come from all the horticultural food production systems. So I don't think it's a bad thing that we need to increase our food system. It's an incredible opportunity. And what we see is that actually vertical farming or other controlled environment agricultural systems are the most suited to solve this question. And like you said, the technology is there. Automation, the robotics are there. The LEDs, the costs are dropping dramatically. VC funding to all these different technologies is also raising sky high over the last year. So I think we're in this incredibly interesting and interesting time where we see the developing of vertical farms, but they have one most significant bottleneck, and that's actually, are they indeed able, as they promise, to produce at such a low operational cost year to year to year? And I think there is indeed where the substrate challenge is most relevant.
Comes in there. Well, an interesting statistic, or a feeling at least yesterday in one of the sessions, was around vertical farming in Europe. Where are we on a scale of 0 to 10? 10 being vertical farms are everywhere, ubiquitous. Most of our produce, leafy produce at least, comes from them, et cetera, et cetera. And the feeling was, well, we're close to 0. And we had a gentleman as well from Korea who said, yeah, also in Korea and parts of Southeast Asia, East Asia, it's also still at the start of this wonderful journey. And then the second part of the question was, okay, by when will we reach at least 8? Getting close to there. And in Europe, we were a bit more hesitant and said 2030, maybe 2031. But in Asia, from Korea, we move a bit faster, so 2025. So that's immediately now, really. Yeah. I mean, that's a massive ramp up when you consider the amount of things which are going on. And you have an ambition as well by 2030.
Yeah, I think I must agree mostly with the more Asian perspective, where I think already in 2025 you will see a dramatic exponential ramp up of all the vertical farming production systems. And we have also matched this with our own ambition in the Growfoam company, because we see this exponential growth already starting up, and we see it as our mission, our vision, and also more or less a must-have to have at least 10 billion plants grown annually by 2030 on 10 billion of our Growfoam plugs. And that's a significant amount, even if you imagine now, for instance, if you look at the greenhouse vegetable production, is more or less globally at about 50 billion plants worldwide. So it's a significant ambition and a significant amount, but we think it's viable, feasible, and also a must-have to indeed reach these high numbers in vertical farming.
So let's say, I don't know, we have a doubling or something, so it goes up to, so then you're talking about a third or half of all the plants which are being produced, according to your statistics, will be using your plugs, maybe.
No, that's maybe...
10 billion, I've written it down.
Exactly.
We'll come back to this in
But
2029.
I think what you should also not underestimate is how fast the entire industry will grow.
Yeah, more than doubling.
The actual production of greenhouse vegetable at this moment is maybe even quite minor if you see what is necessary in 5 or 10 years from now.
Well, it's fantastic that you're on that journey. And you mentioned Growfoam. That is the product which you're marketing. And, without being too promotional, let us understand a little bit more about the substrate solution. How does it work and what advantages does it add to the entire food system?
Well, I think what is most important to understand in this area is actually the phase where we are now within vertical farming. And you see that there's a lot of technology available for indeed the automation, the transplanting, the LEDs, plant recipes, and even the genetics are moving on along quite swiftly. However, on the substrate area is still quite underdeveloped for the vertical farming area specifically. You see a lot of substrate solutions that are actually aimed for the more conventional greenhouse solutions and greenhouse challenges. But if you are a vertical farm, you want your substrate to be completely automatable, completely stable in its form, and also to be completely safe, clean, without any contaminants to your entire system, because you're pumping a lot of water day in, day out. And what we actually see is also that one of the biggest threats for vertical farming is also the maintenance component of those farms. How can you keep performing day in, day out at this high level without clogging your systems, without getting all these contaminants in your system? And I think with the Growfoam plug, we actually aimed for that. We want to grow greener, safer, and faster in a vertical farming setup. And we want to grow greener by the sense of that our plug is completely compostable, in the sense of industrial compostable, but also home compostable. So that results in the fact that you can remove your plug at the end of life, together with all the roots and all the other green waste. Faster in the sense that the plug is always maintaining its shape.
Yeah.
So you get a fixed, nice hexagonal shape, which most of our plugs have.
And it's robust as well, is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So either with needle transplanters or grippers, you can really easily grasp the plug.
Suitable for robotics, for example.
And exactly. And it will maintain the same shape day after day, week after week. And I think that's something that's really missing in a lot of other substrates. And I think lastly, which is maybe even the most important aspect of what we're doing now, is we're producing a completely clean product. What you see with a lot of more organic-based products, which are based on coir or peat, is that if you are just analyzing a gram of that substrate, the colony counts of the microbial organisms that are in that gram of product, they score over tens of millions of it, beyond the detection limit of those measuring systems. And what we've seen with the Growfoam plugs is actually the potential to reach below the detection limit. So if we are always measuring our material, and to compare, it's about 10, 20, maybe sometimes 100 colony counts you detect in a gram of Growfoam product.
So it's helping towards a safer end product, and helping to have that whole process be far more efficient, less clogging up of the process of the system, basically, at the end of the day. What stage are you at now in terms of the product development? Is this available already on the marketplace, and where do you see the future?
Yes, certainly. So to answer that question directly, it's available on the marketplace already, and maybe it's also good to mention that it took quite some engineering and design and development to get to where we are. So we already started with our core team in 2017 with the development. It took us up to 2019, where we first introduced the first conceptual plug already in the Green Tech here in Amsterdam in 2019. However, to really get a good system fit with all the vertical farming systems and controlled environment agriculture, we actually worked and improved our plug during 2019 and 2020 as well. And now by the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, the first major clients are now implementing it in their systems. And we are seeing a tremendous growth and a tremendous development already.
Fantastic. I mean, that sounds to me extremely rapid personally, but much success in a very short amount of time for my ears, but maybe I'm a bit naive there, I'm not quite sure. But I'm sure it's not fast enough for you. But that's the way it is when you bring something new in there. But it's great to hear that the product is being used already in the first greenhouses.
Yeah, right? Certainly, yeah. And also vertical farms as well.
Vertical farms as well, okay, fabulous.
National and international, yeah.
Fabulous. Well, we wish you much success with it. Thank you for your contribution today and how that is contributing towards, producing more food healthily and more efficiently, bringing down the cost per unit dramatically, probably.
Thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next presentation is coming up. Let me just check my notes. In just 15 minutes, and there we're also talking about food safety and security, but we're talking about it in particular from the bankability and finance perspective. So we're going to have Rabobank here, the BOM Group, and VEK, and talk about how to bank on better food safety and security. Coming up in just 15 minutes' time.